Mark had always considered himself a generous guy. At 32, he had a steady job as a software engineer, a nice apartment in the city, and a reputation for being dependable. When he met Alicia at a friend's party, her wit and charm captivated him instantly. She was beautiful, with bright eyes and a laugh that made everyone around her smile. They hit it off right away, and soon enough they were inseparable. At first, everything seemed perfect. Alicia brought excitement and spontaneity into Mark's otherwise routine life. They dined at the best restaurants, went on weekend getaways, and Alicia always seemed so grateful for everything he did. Or so he thought. As months passed, Mark began to notice a pattern. Alicia never seemed to reciprocate his generosity. She expected expensive gifts, fine dining, and luxurious trips, but never offered to share the costs. Whenever Mark would bring it up, she'd shrug it off with a sweet smile, promising she'd make it up to him soon. But that day never came. Mark tried to ignore the growing unease. He wanted to believe the best about Alicia. But the final straw came on his birthday. Mark had planned a quiet dinner at home, hoping for a break from their lavish lifestyle. He cooked her favorite meal and waited for her with a bottle of wine. Alicia arrived 2 hours late, carrying bags from an upscale shopping spree. She barely glanced at the dinner he'd prepared, her eyes lighting up at the sight of the new dress and shoes she'd bought herself with his credit card. "Happy birthday, babe," she said, kissing him on the cheek. "I got something really special for myself to celebrate." Mark stared at her, realization dawning. It was never about him. It was always about what she could get from him. He had been blind, hoping her affection was genuine, but now it was clear. Alicia was using him, and she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. That night, Mark confronted her. He told her how he felt, how he'd started to see through her facade. Alicia didn't deny it. She just laughed, a cold, hollow sound that shattered any lingering illusions. "Come on, Mark. You knew what this was," she said, her tone dismissive. "I deserve the best, and you can afford it. What's the big deal?" The big deal was that Mark wanted more than a transactional relationship. He wanted someone who appreciated him for who he was, not what he could provide. He realized he had been holding on to a fantasy, ignoring the reality of their situation. With a heavy heart, Mark ended things right then and there. Alicia didn't argue. She simply gathered her things and left, leaving Mark to sit alone in his apartment, surrounded by the remnants of a relationship that had never truly been real. In the weeks that followed, Mark felt a mix of sadness and relief. He missed the companionship, but not the constant feeling of being taken for granted. He focused on his work, reconnected with friends, and took time for himself. Slowly he began to heal, finding comfort in the knowledge that he had done the right thing. One evening, as he was walking through the park, Mark ran into an old friend, Jenna. They hadn't seen each other in years, but quickly fell into easy conversation. She was warm, genuine, and interested in his life, not his wallet. They decided to grab a coffee, and as they sat in the cozy cafe, Mark felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. It wasn't long before Mark and Jenna began dating. This time, the relationship was built on mutual respect and genuine affection. Mark realized that true love wasn't about lavish gifts or expensive trips, but about being with someone who appreciated him for who he was. And as he looked into Jenna's kind eyes, he knew he had finally found that.